first off, let me start off by saying I'm so sorry for the loss of your brother. What goes through your mind when you saw that video of him?
Um, the toughest part obviously is to see him in that type of stress. Even being put in that situation. I don't know what he did to create that type of incident to occur. Um, I think what was extremely difficult is when we talked with the district attorneys, when we talked with Eric Zimmerman and Adam Wood, their version of what happened. They said to us, my brother threatened to kill Mr. Salisbury and that he charged him, and that led to Mr. Salisbury defending himself, which led to the shooting and killing. But when we watched the video, it just did not, that is not what we saw as a family. So seeing something different than what we were told was almost like adding more to it on top of the hurt of already losing my parents' son and our brother.
And what did you see when you watched that video? What was your takeaway?
So when I watched the video, it does start off with the parking lot of the preschool. So my brother drove through the parking lot, and it's from the standpoint of the body cam. So the security guard is sitting in his car. He's kind of monitoring you. You'll see him as my brother's approaching to come back through the school, excuse me, to go through the school roundabout. He steps out of the vehicle, and then as my brother is continuing to drive, you see him kind of, I don't want to say walk out, jump out. I don't want to make it more dramatic than what it is, but he's pretty much going towards the vehicle at the time my brother is crossing. So it's kind of like you're meeting him at a certain point, and that's where the video starts that they showed on the news, where they said that my brother tried to hit him. I feel what I see is him kind of timing it where they're almost like meeting at the same time. And then you do hear Mr. Salisbury scream something like, get out of here, or something like that. So it's already at the start of it, you already feel like the aggression, kind of and maybe Salisbury felt like my brother was a threat, but at that point, I feel very strongly that any point you felt anybody's a threat, especially at a preschool, why not call law enforcement? Um, So you see my brother drive off and pull into the next drive in, which is the clinic parking lot. I believe it's the employee parking lot. And it's kind of just like one lane. So you can only drive in or reverse out on the same side. It's not like a big parking lot. And then you can either park to the left. So as my brother is driving, well, you see the body cam. So the body cam shows Mr. Salisbury with the phone in his hand. He never once calls 911 as he's walking over to the clinic where my brother pulled into. And so then you just continue to see him getting closer and closer to my brother. Well, my brother's Manuel is trying to reverse. And obviously Salisbury's kind of blocking it in a sense, right? They're not close together, but if he reversed all the way out, he'd end up hitting him. So he kind of reverses. He looks like he's going to pull into a parking lot. And that's when you see my Manuel exit the vehicle, obviously very upset. And he did say something like, what do you want, guy? Like he kind of screamed it. And then they both started saying stuff to each other, like kind of asking questions to each other, making statements. Both are walking at each other. So if you watch the footage, the entire time Mr. Salisbury is moving forward, as well as my brother. So they're both confronting each other. They're both saying stuff to each other. They go to get in each other's face, and you will see from the body cam, my brother's arms are down by his side, and Mr. Salisbury's hands go directly to Manuel's neck and starts grabbing him and choking him by the neck. And then at that point, you do see my brother react to defend himself. They keep the district attorney's statements, the memos and stuff that are being provided. It's all being stated that my brother charged at him, but they both approached each other. And the physical contact started at the moment that Mr. Salisbury put his hands on Manuel's throat, which to me, in that moment, he's not a police officer at all. He is a security guard of a preschool, but the incident did not happen on the preschool grounds. The incident happened next door at the clinic where Mr. Salisbury left pretty much where he has his jurisdiction as a security guard, left that environment, did not call law enforcement, was aggressive in behavior, and his approach to my brother as well did not de-escalate at all. And then when that interaction happened, he went straight to physical, grabbing by the throat. And that's when my brother reacted, and things just obviously you can see the altercation happening. You don't get to see the side of Mr. Salisbury, but my brother is defending himself. To me, if you put your hands on my throat, that's a lethal action. That's not just a pushback or separation or asking somebody. There was never any, can you don't come any further? Hey, stay back. Just trying to see, are you okay? Nothing stated or done that shows that you're trying to de-escalate the situation. And that is the hardest part that you see because it feels like so much could have been avoided had you called law enforcement at the time you felt he was an issue, had you stayed on the preschool grounds, had you not followed him, had you tried to de-escalate, had you not gone straight for his throat. This is what we're seeing, right? And so obviously you see the altercation at some point, manual postures up. So I'm sure I can't see the other person, but you see him postured up. It's not like there's punching, kicking, stomping. It's really not a whole lot of movement at that time. And that's when you do see the gun come up being placed on my brother's Manuel's stomach. It's not like it was a quick draw shooting out of fear for life. It was more of a placement. Of course, my brother is shouting, shoot me, etc. And that's when the gun goes off. Mr. Salisbury stands up. He grabs his sunglasses off the floor. He walks along, still with his phone in his hand, still hasn't called 911, goes and starts to knock on the clinic door. There is a lady you can see kind of down the hall, but he didn't knock loud enough for her to hear. He kind of walks away from the door, still hasn't called 911, goes back to the door, knocks again. And that's when the lady ends up coming out. And I don't remember his exact words, but he said something like, I shot him. It was like basically he said he shot him in defense, like self-defense or something like that. And then she comes out, looks at my brother. Obviously, my brother's there laying on the ground, bleeding out. Nobody is rendering aid at the time. And I believe it stops, the video stops there. So I don't have any other footage to say how much longer and who did what. But we do know a doctor ended up coming out and rendering aid until they could get him to the hospital.
And as his sister, what goes through your mind when the district attorney says there will not be any charges?
So initially, our first conversation, when we were told that we hadn't seen the body cam footage yet. So in a sense, we're just trying, we're having no choice but to trust what we're being told. And so with the recording that we have that shows that conversation, when we are told that they're not going to press charges, that the body cam footage showed that my brother was the aggressor, he charged at him. Mr. Zimmerman also stated that my brother threatened to kill. So my brother said, I'm going to kill him, or I'm going to kill you, something like that. And then he charged at him. We were all kind of surprised because we don't know my brother or Manuel to just walk around doing insane stuff like that. He's really reserved, mostly either working or at the gym or very quiet, pretty monotone. Like he's just not out and about a whole lot. So that's not his demeanor, in most cases. And so when we heard that, we were kind of like, well, maybe he's going through, maybe he had a moment, like because it's just hard to hear when you feel like you know someone as well as you know them. And so then obviously more conversation, we had questions, and I did ask, is there, not that we don't trust you, but is there something, can we see the footage? What can we do to request it so that we can see it for ourselves? Because we just want to be able to validate that that's what happened. So Adam Wood and Mr. Zimmerman agreed that we could watch the footage. We would set up a later meeting where we could watch the footage together, which we did. So once we sat together, we watched the footage. We did not see the same depiction as what we were told in that first meeting. I did ask the question after we went through all of the footage. I said, it was stated in the first meeting that my brother Manuel said, I'm going to kill you, threatened to kill, and charged at him. I said, we do not see that in the video. So where did that come from? And then Adam Wood stated that they didn't tell us that, that what they told us was that Mr. Salisbury felt like my brother was going to kill him. And we have both statements recorded. So you can clearly hear it in the first recording, and then you can hear in the second recording that they do change the narrative on that. So initial conversation, you have no choice but to kind of trust what you're being told. But once we got to see it for ourselves, we just did not agree with what has been stated by the district attorney, what's been put out into the media, what was provided to the media, both on memos and articles from the attorneys on retainer, like all of the narrative that's been given, we do not see that on the video, the full video, not the minute clip that was provided.
And so where does your family go from here now? Knowing what you know, what's next?
I think the hardest part is with the district attorney being able to determine that no charges, no criminal charges will be put against, Mr. Salisbury. It's a tough pill to swallow because you see what happened. Excuse. Um, to know that not only did a security guard who's supposed to protect people, um, the district attorney who should be ensuring that laws are followed and people are prosecuted if they're supposed to be, and to kind of know that there's just our hands are tied to that decision. It is definitely disheartening. Um, I think for us, more than anything, we just want the truth to be known. Lot of people say, or even Adam Wood and Mr. Zimmerman both said, well, you can take this to civil court, et cetera, and whether that will or not happen, that will be determined. But it isn't about money. It isn't about any of those things. It's about somebody who is a security guard for a pre-K who's supposed to protect children, who at the time, if it's true that he thought my brother was a threat, did not call for law enforcement to come. What if somebody had actually been a threat and you didn't call for backup? To me, you're putting the students at risk. You're jumping in front of a vehicle. You're putting your own life at risk. You don't know at the time if my brother had a weapon or not, which he did not. You follow him. And the only reason that I feel he followed him down and was open to an altercation is because you knew you had something that could take him out, which did happen. It gives you a different comfort, I think, than when you just have to go face to face with the same level of, I guess, weaponry, right? And in this case, he obviously had a way bigger advantage than my brother did. Um, so for us, I think it's more of just wanting the truth out there. I think it's hard to watch videos that are clipped and narrated that do not go along with the full version of the video footage, that do not even go along with what you're actually seeing as you're watching it. When you're watching it and somebody says, Manuel charges Mr. Salisbury, but the video directly shows my brother's hands down to his side and Mr. Salisbury's hands go to my brother's neck. It is just very difficult as a family to watch that. And so for us, it's just to be able to get the clear narrative that goes along with that video. I think more than anything, that's what we want, because if, he has a job. He's supposed to be a professional. I've read his job description. It says he's supposed to de-escalate. It says he's supposed to involve law enforcement. It says that he has training. Um, you know, all of these things that he's supposed to follow, and that's not what we saw in that interaction. So yeah, I would just say for us, it's more so the truth. Again, I get it. He's 32. He's a young man. He's new to Portland. He isn't maybe anybody to that community, and maybe Mr. Salisbury has more of a reputation and knows more people, and he's affiliated with attorneys on retainer and all these other things, right? Um, but it doesn't mean that his life is any less important. It doesn't mean that anybody, let alone a security guard, should be able to just shoot someone without being held accountable, especially when it's based on what we saw in the video.